Yo, what's good, nerds? You guys tired of not having any friends online? Maybe sick of dealing with recruit chat trolls and stuff like that? Well, you guys have come to the right place. So today I'm going to show you everything you need to know to start solo Eidolon hunting. Without further ado, let's get right on into it. So just a side note here, this is not a budget build. I'm not going to be spending a lot of time covering budget options. I'm just kind of showing you guys the gear I use to get a solo 6x3. Let's go ahead and get everything prepared before we head on out there, starting with the bolt build. You are going to be running Eclipse on your number 4, high strength, triple umbra shock trooper with arcane nullifier and energized, pretty standard stuff. Enemy radar is the oddball out here. I will show you guys some clips about why I use that here in just a little bit. Heading on over to the Zenith build, you do need Hellfire plus Shock Trooper to give you that radiation damage, high multi-shot, high fire rate, crit. I am using a fairly expensive Zenith Riven, but I do believe that a decent Riven is needed to use Zenith for Eidolon hunting. With that said, here's a little demonstration of why we use the Zenith for long spawns. Propa, break the shields, pull out your Zenith with the melee button, and instantly taking the limb because of infinite punch through here. And moving on to the Nell build, pretty straightforward, high crit damage, high fire rate, high multi-shot, heated charge again with that shock trooper for the radiation damage bonus again. We are using Cascadia accuracy. Just go ahead and roll before you do the cap shot and you should be good to go. We are using a very expensive Riven. You don't need a GG Riven to be able to do this, but you guys are definitely going to want a Riven when you're using it for the cap shots on these Eidolons. Helps give you that extra damage you need to just finish them off quickly. Next, let's take a look at the Vastalok. All that's really important here is Shattering Impact with high attack speed. All you're using this for is to strip the Eidolon armor. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Sentinel of choice. It is the Worm Prime with the Negate mod to help with the status effects. Pretty general stuff. Animal Instinct, Synth mods, Vacuum to help pick up the energy orbs. Pretty basic stuff here. The only Sentinel you don't want to use are the Kavats and the Kubros. Moving on to the Itzal. The only thing that's really important here is Cold Snap for the third ability to suck in Vomvalysts, make it easier to kill them. The rest of it is just high strength, high duration, good defense. Now, the Necromech with the Grattler is what we use for undervoms. The only mod that's important here is Sabbat rounds to give you the punch through. Helps you take out all the bombs that might be underneath the Eidolon. The rest of it doesn't matter so much because, once again, the Vomvalysts, they really don't have that much defense, and any kind of real damage will kill them rather easily. Now I'd like to run you guys through the gear wheel and make sure that you have a few different items bound to specific keys. One being your Arcwing for obvious reasons. 2, Ancient Healer Specters help protect you from Vomvalyst knockdown. 3rd, Necromech is how you're going to actually kill the under Vomvalysts. We will be needing Squad Energy Restore and our On-Call as well. I will be showing you guys the build for the On-Call and how to place him here in just a little bit. And go ahead and make sure that you have Loc-Pins craft and on your gear wheel so we can place them out in the plains of Eidolon here in just a little bit before we start hunting. Now, if you plan on doing a lot of hunts, you are going to need to craft a lot of ciphers and Squad Energy Resource to keep up with the demand. These items are not needed, however, they do help greatly with the efficiency of your hunts. Now let's take a look at the on-call crew member. This guy is used to get underbombs during the Terrorless down phase, so he doesn't need to be super tanky or, he doesn't need to do a lot of damage because, once again, he's just doing underbombs and they die very easily. Now, 2 things are very important when placing your on-call crew. First, that he has clear line of sight of the Eidolon, and secondly, right after you place him, you park him. Now, if you're wondering how we do the damage to the Eidolon shields, well, here we are. We are using the 177 amp, which is made up of the Propa Scaffold, Certus Brace, and Rapplic Prism. We are going to be using Eternal Eradicate and Onslaught for the amp. One of them you have to deplete all of your energy to proc. The other is very simple. You just have to use one of your abilities. So when using VS, all you have to do is push one button and you proc both of your arcanes. You're good to go. The other way, you have to Contamination Wave plus Void Slings to deplete all of your energy. So let me go ahead and show you guys a clip of what that looks like now. So in this instance, I think an energy pack goes off next to me, so I do have to end up void slinging a couple extra times, plus an extra contamination wave and stuff, but basically the idea is you need to deplete all of your energy. Now taking a look at the focus tree, we are looking at Void Strike, which is what I keep referring to as VS. This is the easy way to proc both of your arcanes. It does give you a high amount of damage, so you want to try and save it for the upper limbs. Next is Contamination Wave, which is your second ability, which is paired with Void Slings in order to proc your arcanes, like I just showed you guys in that last example. Can be a little tricky, but you can get the hang of it. Next up is Operator Arcanes. Magus Repair is very, very handy here, but any kind of defense arcane should be just fine. So just in case you guys don't know how to set up a Loc-Pin or what a Loc-Pin is, basically those things that I told you to put on your gear wheel, well, go ahead and open that up. Now you can go ahead and add in whatever kind of text you want. I do recommend that you put like close right, close left, kind of tell you what the pin is for. Next, I would absolutely recommend that you guys, for two things, pick the same symbol for your water limbs and, you know, keep them organized. Pick the same symbols for each of your categories. Make sure you show on HUD or you won't be able to see them. And then also you can color coordinate them to help keep track of them as well. Just any kind of organization helps, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time being like, oh man, which pin is which? Oh, I can't remember. This way you can just look at a color and you're good to go. So now that you know how to place a Loc-Pin, let's go ahead and show you guys where to actually place them. This first purple one here, this is going to be your quick charge Loc-Pin. You want to be these two tall trees here. If you get right about parallel with the height of them, you want to be about no more than 25 meters up above you, maybe like 20 meters above, and 5 meters forward is about where you want that one. That is Shrine. I will show you guys a little tip later about where you want to land when you go to insert shard, but this is your close right Loc-Pin. You kind of want it just aimed out towards the middle of the lake there. This one's going to be your mid spawn. Again, you just kind of want to aim it out towards the middle of the lake when you place your shields. You will be landing on the opposite side, obviously. Now this is your close left, again, aimed out towards the middle of the shield. Now this next one is a long spawn. I usually don't pre-shield this because I just kind of have the attitude of, if it's a long spawn, you're going to have a longer run anyways, so it's like I don't really waste a lot of time, plus it's a little more challenging. Now these next Loc-Pins show me where I can find lures further away from the entrance of the Plains of Eidolon, because sometimes you get disorientated and you don't know, you know, where the lures are and all this kind of stuff. So all these light blue ones, this is where I can find additional lures. Now this is just a picture of my map, so you guys can actually see what camps I place, what lures, and all that kind of good stuff. Again, the green ones are for my pre-shields, my purples are for my QCs, my light blues are for lures. And speaking of lures, this is an Eidolon lure. Now these things can be very, very, very finicky. If they don't have enough space near you when you land, they won't teleport. If you don't wait long enough for them to teleport, you might get a kill animation because they wouldn't teleport. So they're very finicky. But more importantly, what are they good for? Well, this is a Vomvalyst. You need Vomvalyst to charge the lure. Typically, Vomvalysts are found during the Eidolon down phase. You call them under Voms. There are other ways to find Vomvalysts, but your primary source of them is going to be under Voms. Now, it is going to take 3 Vomvalysts per lure to charge it. Now, a little bit further explanation of how all this works is, for the very first Eidolon Terror list, you need 2 blue lures to get a cap shot and not get a kill animation. Now, cap shots are important so you get the shard so you can start the next Eidolon. So we need 2 for the first one, plus an additional for the Vomvalyst start. Now, the Vomvalyst needs 3 blue lures for capture, plus 1 additional for Hydralist start. So what this means is, in total, we need 8 blue lures in order to capture all of the Eidolons, which is essentially what you want. You don't ever want to kill an Eidolon. You always want to capture an Eidolon. So this is just kind of like a quick, very, very brief example and explanation of what a lure is, what a Vomvalyst is, how they interact, you know, just kind of random stuff about them, and also, more importantly, how many blue lures you need for each Eidolon phase. And again, you are going to want 2 blue lures for the cap shot, plus 1 for the Vomvalyst start, which is the second Eidolon. Then for the second Eidolon capture, you need 3 plus 1 for Hydralist start. So again, in total, you will need 8 blue lures at 3 Vomvalysts apiece. So you guys go ahead and do the math. I'm bad at that shit anymore. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next section here. Now, the last thing we should take a look at before we actually go out and hunt is Eidolon.com. You can actually come here to practice your Propa timings. Propa is where you get your big damage against the Eidolon shields. The faster you can kill the Eidolon shields, the faster you can kill the limbs, which in turn equals faster runs. Now, what's important here is you can go ahead and set your ping and your refresh rate and all that good jazz, but now what's important here is to make sure you're looking at the Eidolon animation and using the sound cues of when to actually throw your Propa, which is used by your middle mouse button. Now, what they call a safe range of MS is in between 50 and 100 is what you want to aim for. Anything faster than that, and you run the risk of actually doing 0 damage to the Eidolon shields, which then slows down the limbs and slows down your runs, etc. So that was a couple of examples of a pretty good timed Propa. Now let me show you guys a couple of examples of too early Propa and what it actually looks like on Eidolon.com. You see how I do a negative MS limb there? That's what you don't want to see because, again, that's going to delay you from breaking that Eidolon shield, which delays you from breaking the limb, which just slows down your runs and make the Eidolon move all over the place and all that other stuff. So, very important to practice your Propa timings. Again, safe range is between 50 and 100 MS. Okay, I think we're ready to go hunt. So first thing we need to do is quick charge our very first lure, which is come and hang out by your Loc-Pin, wait for the night to start. It's about to start. Make sure you shoot your Zenith disc. Oh man, where are the Vomvalysts? Oh shit, there they are. They're really, really hard to spot. But next thing you need to keep in mind is the Eximus units. After you destroy the Eidolon lure and before you hack it, you want to kill this Eximus unit because he can cause you a lot of problems. Next, you want to make sure you kill the Vomvalysts attached to the Eidolon lure first, shown by that yellow tether there. Kill both of the Vomvalysts and head on over to the Eidolon here. Next, you're going to want to land, strip your armor with your Vassalok, go ahead and proc your Sling Strength, which gives you more Eclipse damage and Shock Trooper damage. Now let's go ahead and place a Volt Shield, go into Operator, get ready to use VS, and only take the shield here. Do not take the limb. We want to wait for a Vomvalyst to spawn under the Eidolon shown right here. So you see it with the tether also. What that's going to do is it's going to turn your first blue lure there. Let's go ahead and take another look at what this looks like. And now this one is after the hunt has already started. You don't have that leniency of waiting, you know. Oh, look at that. They're way over on the far right side. They have a few different locations on this camp. The more practice you get, the more, you know, obviously you'll be able to spot them a lot easier. Go ahead and use your It's All Suck with the Cold Snap on there. Freezes them in place. Go ahead and shoot the tether one first, and now we're back over here at the Eidolon stripping armor, proccing Sling Strength for bonus Eclipse damage and Shock Trooper damage. Get your Volt Shield down, VS up, do not break limb, only shields. Wait for the Vomvalyst, there it is, and there you go, blue lure. And there you go. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this looks like at full speed one more time. Go ahead and stop at your Loc-Pin, make sure you kill Eximus unit, blink in, hack, suck in Vomvalyst, shoot the tethered Vomvalyst first. Head on over to your Eidolon, strip armor, get ready for the first limb break, which is proccing your Sling Strength, getting Eclipse buff, using Zenith disc, Volt shielding, get ready to use your VS, only break the shields, not the limbs, wait for the Vomvalyst to spawn, here it comes, there it is, you can see the tether again, and there you go, there's your blue lure. That is how you quick charge a lure. Now, this is one of the harder things to practice. I spent a good few days just doing this alone to practice. It will take you guys, like I said, a bit of trial and error and all that stuff. But once you get the hang of it, this is a very reliable way to quick charge a lure. It's very safe. The only time you should really be messing up is if you're showing up at if it's your Loc-Pin too early, or if you're too close or too far from it, then you could have some problems as well. But let's go ahead and move on to the next section here. Okay, now we've got our first blue lure with no VS available. Now we've got to proc our arcanes the hard way using contamination waves and void slings. Now, if you pay attention closely here, I'm going to Propa right before the Rapplic. I'm going to pause. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Rapplic, push melee, and then left click to fire the Zenith. Melee switches me from operator to Warframe, and then left click shoots the Zenith. It's very, very quick. But with a little bit of practice, you guys will get the hang of it. So let's go ahead and show you guys what this looks like again. You go ahead and Volt Shield, Contamination Wave, and Sling Strength to deplete energy. Propa Rapplic, melee, left click. Let's take one more look at it here. I know it happens very, very quickly, and there's a lot going on here. But if you practice, you guys can be just as quick, I promise. Now, the limbs that you have Void Strike available, those are very easy, but what I do recommend you doing with these limbs is you do want to make sure you're shooting at the upper limbs and avoid shooting at the knees when you have Void Strike. Because the upper limbs are, the upper right arm that I'm shooting here, this is one of the more challenging limbs to hit on the Eidolon. So I definitely recommend that you guys save VS for that upper right hand arm. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much with the Void Strike limbs because it's very simple. You just kind of push your first ability and it procs both your arcanes, and then you time your stuff right and it just falls over. It's really that simple, because not only is it's easier to proc your arcanes, you're also getting a massive, massive damage buff from the actual buff itself. So let's go ahead and show you guys this one last example of what it looks like. And next, we're going to be showing you guys, after you've done all of the limbs, now what do we do? Well, now we've got to go get 2 more lures since we're on the first Eidolon here. But you only want to get 1 lure in between each limb, because if you try and get more than 1, you can risk getting there late, which is, again, just going to slow down your runs and stuff. So here, this is just showing you guys an example of what the first Eidolon looks like after you've got the first blue lure and you've taken your first non-VS limb. Then after each limb, you're going to go ahead and grab a lure. Next, we're going to be taking the last limb with VS. He's going to fall to the left here. Now we need to make sure our lures are parked right up under him here to get the underarms seen here. This is just one that spawned. But by the time you're done gathering all of your lures, you should have 3 blue lures charged here again. So let me go ahead and show you guys another example. We have just taken the first limb. We're going to grab 1 lure. We're going to come back and get prepared to take the next limb. Now, like I said, once you get faster, you can go for grabbing 2 lures, but to be safe, I just went ahead and grabbed 1 to show you guys kind of what this looks like here. Now, the real important thing here also is, after you've gotten both of your lures and you go to break the last limb, he's going to fall to the opposite side of the limb that you break. So if you break the right limb, he's going to fall left. Now, that's important to know where to park your lures. You need to be parking your lures, your yellows, as close to the Eidolon as you possibly can to absorb the undervoms. Remember the on-call that we parked? He's shooting his Cycron at the Eidolon, which is then chaining to all the Vomvalysts. And that's how we're getting those last 2 lures charged here, while we're able to go and grab our next 4 lures. Now, these next lures are the lures that we're going to be using for Vomvalyst, plus the 1 additional to be able to start the Hydralisk fight. So after we grab these 4 lures here, we're only going to need 1 more lure for the rest of the Eidolon encounter. Now, when you get back, you can go ahead and unpark all of your blue lures. Make sure you grab all of the other yellow lures away from the 1 yellow lure that you still have parked under the Eidolon, because as you can see, he's not charged yet. But as soon as the Eidolon stands up, more Vomvalysts spawn, killed by your on-call crew, which turns the lure blue. And there you go. Now we have 3 blue lures. So let's go ahead and take a couple more looks at what this should look like. We just went ahead and took the last Terralist limb here. We go ahead and park our lures. Make sure you kind of stay still for just a second to make sure your lures don't drift away from where they started. Now we're going to go ahead and grab 4 more lures. Lures can be found all over the plains of Eidolon, but as you'll start hunting more and more, you guys will know like where the good spots to go are, like that hill that I was just at. You can get them there quite frequently. There's also, I'll put a link in the description below for the Eidolon wiki that kind of shows like kind of where to get lures and all that kind of stuff. But once again, so now as you can see, we have all of our lures here. We're waiting for the Terralist to stand up. Oh, but now 1 blue lure. Oh shit, what's happening? Oh, but if you wait just a second longer, you will get that last blue lure. So if all is done correctly, the Vomvalysts might split between the 2 parked lures, but you will get them. Next, we're going to be looking at how to get undervoms on the Vomvalyst Eidolon. So basically at this point, we have 1 blue lure, 4 yellow lures. Now we've taken the last limb, and he goes down into his healing phase. You're going to go ahead and kill the Vomvalyst, and then you're going to go and look for Vomvalysts around the rest of the plains of Eidolon. And like I was saying before, they can spawn anywhere for about 150 meters away from the Eidolon, so you don't want to be going and flying all over the map here and all that. But and here I grab my last lure for the rest of the Eidolon encounter. Make sure you are definitely back before he stands up. You hear the animation of him standing up? You want to make sure you were back at the Eidolon before then, so your lures have plenty of time to teleport to you and make sure they're in position. Now we're going to take the cap shot here, and look at all these undervombalists that we're going to get help get the rest of these lures charged. So this is why I say your primary source of Vomvalyst does come from the undervoms, okay? Now, like I was saying, undervoms are your primary source of Vomvalyst, but it's not your only source. So let's show you guys one more example of what a cap shot and getting undervoms should look like on the Vomvalysts here. Make sure those yellow orbs don't block your shots, by the way. Pro tip, use your It's All Suck, and the next thing you know, all these Vomvalysts are just here for the taking. Now, I'm going to show you guys why I use enemy radar here. If you take a look at your mini-map, keep a close eye on that here. Oh, look at that, all those red dots there. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop and look around and make sure those aren't Vomvalysts. Because with enemy radar, you're able to see their location on your mini-map or radar, what have you, from a lot further distances, meaning you can just fly around at high speeds looking for those little red dots on your mini-map. I think I got really lucky with 4 here, so I was able to actually get almost, a good amount of my lures charged, so I went and grabbed another one before we went for the cap shot and then gathering all the rest of the underbombs that way. But I just wanted to show you guys an example of why I actually use enemy radar and why I think it could help you guys as well. Doing it the other way is a lot harder, so this is just, it's easier. So now you know how to get lures, you know how to charge lures, but how do you start the next Eidolon? Well, this was a cap shot there on Terrorlist, so next I'm going to come over here to my pre-shielding Loc-Pins, the green ones. You're going to face your Volt Shield towards the middle of the lake. Like I said, I only do the 3 different locations. Proc Sling Strength to give you that sprint speed. Use your Zenith Disc here out into the middle of the lake. Grab your loot, and now it's very important where you park here, because if I parked too far to the left there, the lures would actually teleport to me. But as you can see here, the indication of this yellow circle actually shows me which Eidolon this is. So because this is where that is, I know that it's close left. So let me go ahead and show you guys what an example is of close right here. So I have just taken the Gonchalus cap shot. I'm going ahead and gathering all these underbombs before I go and pre-shield. I'm getting my Necromech out of the way so I don't accidentally transfer into it. And like I said, I'm hitting all my green Loc-Pins, putting Volt Shields down towards the middle of the lake. You want to proc your Sling Strength, reapply your buffs, make sure you shoot your Zenith Disc, which I did not here. Land just in the right spot here on this little kind of crack so your lures don't teleport to you and block your use of the shrine. Now, if you guys see that jellyfish there at the bottom of the screen, that's the indicator that it's going to be a close right. And obviously you can tell it's a lot closer to the shrine than the other spawn was. So again, I'm just showing you guys a real good example of what each limb should look like and how you can tell where the Eidolon is spawning in the lake based off of the color that's coming out. So again, same kind of thing. You get the underbombs, you go ahead and pre-shield, grab your loot, make sure you try and shoot your Zenith Disc. I always forget, clearly. Go ahead and get to Shrine, get ready to put your shard in. Now, this is going to be a mid-spawn. Now, on this one, you're going to be able to see that the circle is much further out into the middle of the lake. You see there, almost by the corner of that, rock that points out into the middle of the lake? Now, that's how you know it's a mid-spawn. So, and then we're just going to proceed, land, use VS, break the shield, break the limb. Kind of same thing there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what a long spawn looks like. Because remember, I don't pre-shield for these. So these do take longer just because of that regardless. You can get some pretty fast water limbs on these 3 here that I'm showing you. But if you're getting a long spawn, you're pretty much destined to have a longer run anyways. But I just wanted to show you guys an example of what it looks like here so you know how to spot it. Like I said, make sure you park just right or your lures will teleport to you. Oh, look at that. Way out there. You can barely see that green, mist out there. Well, that's how you know it's a long spawn. And now this is, again, why we use the Zenith here. You can go ahead and land, put your shield down, use VS, Propa, and look at that. I just shot right through the ground, and I actually broke the Eidolon limb. You managed to get a 5x3, and your night cycle is just about to run out. You don't have enough blue lures to get the last Eidolon captured. What on earth are you supposed to do? Well, here's a very bad example done by myself here of what that's supposed to look like. And now what this is called is daywalking. Now, depending on where the Eidolon spawns, the last Eidolon, depending on where he spawns, is going to determine what limb order you need to do and if you need to turn him, etc. This is a more advanced technique that you really won't need to be worrying about too much until you do reach a 5x3 pace. I just thought it would be a kind of a fun little thing to show you guys of how bad I can be sometimes and how stressful it can really be. But these are those limb orders. If you do get lucky enough with a close right, it is the easiest of the day walks. All you have to do is alternate the sides. Close left is much harder. You need to do left, left, left. Almost wait for him to do a full turn by lifting up his leg and, kind of turning, and then do right, right, right. Mid is right, wait for him to do a full turn, then do the left side. Long spawn, left, wait for him to turn, right. I know that sounds kind of confusing and stuff, but when it says full turn, what that means is the Eidolon is lifting up his leg, and in doing so, he's turning. So that's just kind of a brief little example of what a very scuffed daywalk looks like. It usually happens to me. I panic. I don't know what happens. My runs are so good until I get to daywalks, and then all hell breaks loose. I just thought you guys would enjoy seeing that. Now that you've finished your run and you want to know how to improve, well, head on back over to Eidolon.com and click on that Analyze button. This is the file path extension on where to search your directory to find the EE log. Then go ahead and click Upload. If you're not already there, put in the file path extension, click Upload. You can put in a description. Now, this tool is great. It shows you your limb times, your cap shots. It shows you all kinds of information if you're ever curious about how to improve your Eidolon hunting. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this guide, nerds. I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, drop a like, hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned for more future content like this. I really appreciate all the support, guys, and don't forget, I do go live on Twitch every single day if you guys want to come check this out live and get a taste of what it really looks like. But until next time, guys, stay out there and stay safe. Later.